Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you're new. I'm Zara and I make disability advocacy content, lifestyle, hobbies, stuff like that. But today I'm going to be doing tips for managing Christmas when you're chronically ill or neurodivergent, specifically aimed at neurodivergent people and just people who need a little bit more structure or a little bit more acceptance or accommodations, because we struggle a little bit more than the average neurotypical human being. I am neurodivergent myself, and I also have a couple of neurological conditions, which means that I have to be a lot more careful about how I spend my energy, and if I am not careful about getting socially burnt out and stuff, my body basically shuts down and causes a whole load of symptoms. So it's very important for me and for so many other people for different reasons to pace themselves and put things in place to make Christmas a little bit easier, because even though it's a really nice festive time of the year, it's very difficult. It's very full on and it can result in burnout or flare-ups. So here are tips for both making Christmas easier for you or making Christmas easier for your family in general, or a family member that may have a condition that makes it more difficult for them. Here are my tips and advice for Christmas. Number one is get outside and get in nature, which obviously is a bit subjective because you might have difficulties walking, especially if you're overtired from the festive season and all the holidays. But if you can and the weather permits it and you can physically go out, I really recommend trying to get out in nature and just slowing down and having that little time just for yourself. I find it really relaxing to go out on walks with my dog, whether it's like with my mum or just to the field at the end of my street or a nice park or the forest. Wherever it is, I feel like going out in nature and slowing down and listening to the birds and just appreciating all the little natural things rather than the hustle and bustle and the really social parts of life. I feel like it gives a really nice contrast and helps me wind down, because otherwise I feel like my brain is going a million miles per hour, and it's just nice to have some space to breathe in the midst of all the chaos. Another thing I like to do is schedule in breaks for stuff like this. Scheduling breaks is essential, especially if you have something like chronic fatigue or if you suffer from burnout. It's really important to make sure you have the time to do these things, so maybe schedule in a midday break or a break just before your lunch or wherever it fits in during your day. Maybe you need one after presents, because that can be pretty exhausting, especially for autistic or neurodivergent people. Schedule in breaks and make sure you have time to rest within your day, and prep that beforehand so that you can allocate the timings of the day around when you need to take care of your own needs. 3 is kind of similar, but take naps. I personally can't nap. I find it so difficult to get to sleep, so I basically can't nap, but I lie in a dark room and just get myself horizontal because that helps with my circulation and stuff, and I feel like it just rejuvenates me a lot quicker if I'm lying down flat like on a bed or a sofa. I have naps or quiet time or sit in a dark room and just wallow time. I feel like that's really helpful, so maybe have a space or your bedroom or just a dark guest room wherever you are, wherever you're spending Christmas. Try and figure out a time and a place you can go and have a rest, an allocated rest time or a nap, just to rejuvenate your energy so you don't go the whole day crashing and burning out and spending all your energy on all the social things. You need time to relax. Hey! Woo! And to bring your energy levels back up. 4, I mean, some people might not like doing this. I know some people, especially people with ADHD, might not like planning because, you know, task avoidance and stuff like that. But if this works for you, if this correlates, it definitely does with me, because I am heavily plan everything, checklists, to-do lists, bullet journal, everything. I like scheduling, so for me, planning every bit about Christmas, planning the timings, the meals, where I'm going to be, who's going to be there, what we're doing, all the different things. I want to know what's happening so that I can mentally prepare and physically prepare my body for what I'm going to need to do. So I've planned which days I'm going to be where, what we're doing, whether there's going to be loads of people there because that's going to be socially more exhausting. Just planning for all those little things really helps me get everything organised and figure out how tired I'm going to be and what I might need like extra on that day, whether I might need extra rest, or it just helps me prepare, and I feel a lot less anxious if I know exactly what's happening and what the food situation situation is and what the people situation is, I feel like it does help because you do need to do a lot more planning when you have the extra things to take into consideration. 5, establish boundaries with family or friends or whoever you're spending Christmas with. This is a difficult one because I know it can be really difficult to talk to people about health or about your needs as a neurodivergent person. It's a touchy topic for a lot of people, and a lot of people have relatives, maybe it's more distant relatives, that don't really understand what you're going through. And I know it's difficult, but try to establish boundaries, like telling them that this is what you need and this is why, and please can you respect that, because I find it really difficult to do Christmas. For example, I get really exhausted and feel really anxious when opening presents in front of people. So what we've done is I've established that that is a need that I have, and I've told my whole family, please don't put any pressure on me to open presents. I'm going to do it quietly so that I don't have to put a mask on my face and put my facial expressions on and act really surprised, because otherwise I'd literally have to go and sleep for the rest of the day. Like, it's so exhausting. So what we've done is we've put me in the corner of the room where not as many people can see me, and people aren't going to watch me open their presents. I'm just going to tell them afterwards that I like them. And that for me works. So if you find little things like that that you can put in place and pre-plan with your family and tell them what you think might be difficult so that it doesn't come as a surprise, that can help a lot. 6, I kind of mentioned a little bit in the last one, but if you're like me and you find the whole reacting to presents, opening gifts, like the unwrapping and oh my god, thank you, if you find that whole social interaction very draining, first of all, I relate to you. I sympathise. I find it really hard. But 2, you can ask for a more no pressure environment. It depends on what your family are like. My family are very non-formal. Like, we don't have a dressed up Christmas. Like, we don't have a party. We don't drink alcohol. None of us drink. We just have a very chilled pajama Christmas every year, and it's just us. It's just my close immediate family. So it's very nice. It's very low key, and there's no pressure to like even get dressed. We can just stay in comfy clothes if we want to, or we can put something nice on. It's just whatever suits the people, and that has really helped me a lot, having no pressure on it. But no pressure gift opening has really helped. I did that last year, and it was the first year that we properly established that I needed a lot more space and that we were going to accept that I was going to have a blank face, because I couldn't spend my energy trying to put a smile on and until like my face aches. So I just said, I am appreciative, like I am very grateful, and I'm going to be happy with pretty much anything you guys give me, because it doesn't really matter. It's about the day. It's not about the presents anyway. I just established that I was going to have like a resting bitch face the entire time, but it wasn't that I wasn't happy. But just telling them that beforehand so that they know and they're prepared for it did help. So maybe it can help you guys too. Number 7 is especially important for people who have like sensory sensitivities or seizures, like people with epilepsy. This also applies, so there's a couple things that this could help. But reducing the amount of like really bright or flashing lights. A big part of Christmas is having lighting, and you probably have lights on your Christmas tree if you put one up. We have fairy lights everywhere, and there's generally a lot of like decorations, and it can be quite visually stimulating, which for some people might be great, but other people it can be a lot to take in. It's a lot to visually process, and it can get quite draining and exhausting. And I know I get a lot of headaches, especially when there's bright lighting. So the first tip is to have warm toned lighting. Like on our Christmas tree we have orange lights, and all the lights in the house are very warm toned, which helps to be like less drastic on the eyes, I guess. It really helps just not having really harsh cool lighting, because I know that can be worse for headaches, having blue light. And then 2 is having everything on just static. So our Christmas tree lights do have a flashing setting, but we never have it on. Nothing's cycling or changing or flashing really aggressively. We just have it kind of muted and in the background, and it stays the same nice warm toned lights and doesn't flash. So that is very helpful for me. Number 8 is planning the meals and understanding that Christmas dinner is variable. Everybody likes different things. I'm personally very fussy with food. My Christmas dinner is going to look pretty different to everyone else's, but that's what works for me, and my family understand that, and no one's going to pressure me to have the same thing as other people just because that's Christmassy and that's what you should have for Christmas dinner, because everyone's different, and Christmas is a stressful time anyway. It's a big social occasion. There's lots of pressure on it. So don't put any more pressure on people by forcing them to have a different routine, because they might just want to do what's familiar to them to get them through the holiday. I'm going to be having what I'm familiar with, a kind of novelty but inspired by a Christmas dinner, but having what I'm used to rather than having all the new textures and flavours and wondering whether I'll like it or whether it'll be okay or whether it'll go right. All these things that I can't control, I'm taking out of the mix and making my day less stressful. So just don't judge if people need to have different things, because Christmas dinner looks different for everybody. Not everybody likes the same things. Number 9, no surprise visits. If you have neurodivergent people, especially autistic people in your family, they probably, stereotypically with the diagnostic criteria and the traits that people usually have, in general, we don't like surprises. This is definitely very, very accurate for a lot of people in my family. We don't like surprises. I do not like being surprised and not knowing what's happening, because if my plans change, if my routine changes and I didn't account for it in my schedule or in my list for the day, I get really stressed and my whole day is thrown off. I can't really function if unexpected plans change, and it takes me a lot of energy and a lot of time and planning to get over that and figure out what I'm going to do instead. So it can pretty much take my whole day off on like a roller coaster if something is just spontaneously put on me. So plan, and if you have anybody that is sensitive to change or doesn't really like surprises, please tell them what's happening. Don't catch them off guard, because even if you think it might be a nice surprise, it might be really upsetting and distressing to them and it could ruin their day. And finally, number 10 is spread out your festive activities, spread out your Christmas, all like the fun stuff, the Christmas movies, spread it out over the week. It doesn't have to all be done in one day. You don't have to fit everything into that 14-16 hours of one day, because that is a lot. It's a lot of things to do. My family like to do gingerbread houses, and we like to watch films, decorate, we put the tree up, we have food, we play games, we have Christmas Monopoly, all these things that we have to do on top of the actual day and the Christmas meal and opening presents and stuff. It's a lot to do. You can't fit that into one day and account for rest and time just to chill and downtime. So spread it out. What we're doing is, and what I've asked to do is, this year, instead of having like a massive Christmas Eve and a massive Christmas Day and a big Boxing Day, we're gonna do little things, one thing a day for the whole week. So yesterday I went to the garden centre and we did a little Christmas run, and then I crashed completely and spent the rest of the day in bed. But then today we might do some gingerbread houses, and tomorrow I think we're gonna watch a Christmas film. Christmas Eve we're doing Christmas Eve boxes and maybe a game, and then Christmas Day we have all the Christmas Day things. But spreading it out can make it a lot easier, so I highly recommend doing that. But yeah, I think those are all my tips. There's definitely more, but I just want to do a little short video because, in all honesty, I'm quite overwrought. It's not even Christmas yet, but because there's been like all the presents, all the buying and wrapping and the trips out to like the garden centre and putting up the Christmas tree, and all these things are really exhausting, and all the planning and tidying the house and getting prepared and planning the food and all these things, there's so much to take into account that I'm already starting to flare up. And it's 5 days before Christmas, so I'm gonna be taking a break. Nothing's gonna stop. I've still got uploads coming out, but I'm gonna edit this video and put it out this Sunday for you, so you've got a Christmas upload, and then I'm gonna edit one more video, hopefully tomorrow, which will go up the last week of December. But I'm gonna be taking a 2-week break off, a very well-deserved break. I'm gonna try and force myself to not work, which I find very difficult. And I'm gonna try and take a break off because the holidays are hard, especially as a person with chronic illness, or if you're disabled or neurodivergent or chronically ill. It's really difficult to get through a holiday, especially with family and all these things that are different and the change of routine. So take care of yourselves. I'm gonna try and step back from social media for a bit and just let my scheduled posts go up, and hopefully we'll all come out alright and survive this chaotic but fun season. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you next week for another video, and good luck. I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody, and I will see you next week for another video. And also, Merry New Year. Happy New Year. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you enjoyed, and Merry Christmas. Bye. To make it a lot more easiable, a lot more manageable and easy. What we've done to make it a lot